Bear now has more bones than she can carry, cub still in her arms. The creak of trees in her legs, in her back, claws worn to the pad. She wants to lie down, become a mountain, to let autumnal flesh drop, teeth roll away, to lay her head upon her mother's soft swell. Look, child, there is honey in the high tree, fish in the stream, ants beneath the heavy beam. Run, climb, swim. Lips on her ancient gum, tongue on her nose, snuffle of a child old enough to know. Opens up to a last roar. Go! Live! As long as you can! I have no more power. Nor do I, child. I will take the last you have. Your cub will keep the bit you give. And then she is gone. Something of the goddess in that, in the last portion. That which is there even when we feel we can't be there anymore. Even when we feel we have disappeared, we remain, and something remains. Life survives. The bear mother in that one makes almost a prayer and is heard by her goddess, and this one is a similar prayer to a goddess, a mother goddess, and this one out of Ireland, Danu, mother of the fair folk in Ireland and mother of the Tuatha De Danann. She's known in Welsh as Dan, I think. This is a prayer to her, Danu. Can you hear me, Danu, mother of the gods? Can you hear me, Danu, mother of the earth? Can you hear me, Danu, mother of the tooth? Can you hear me, Danu? Can you hear? As you fall from your mother's womb, as you place your step on the road, as you stand your ground in the fight, as you spill to your lover's bed, as you weep to your child's cry, as you bend to your royal crown, as you reap from a harvest bright, as you sow from your wisdom won, as you lay on your beacon fire, as you breathe my name on your final sigh, I hear. This is the time of the midwinter solstice, of course. 6 months ago, it was the time of the midsummer solstice. Both of them have a paradox to them, in that this being the darkest time of the year, the longest nights, the shortest days, is actually the point at which the days begin to become longer. Whereas a midsummer, of course, in all brightness and clearness, and the longest days is the time at which the days become shorter. This poem is kind of set in the midpoint between those, when a celebration is held known as the Dísablot. In Old Norse, Old English paganism, the Idises or the Disia are the ancestral female spirits, and the Disa Blot is a celebration to them. Then you could call tonight, Mother's Night, a Disia Blot as well, Disa Blot. And this one imagines a young woman married at the height of summer, contemplating the veil she wore as a bride. The Disa Blot. The summer bride has asked her veil might be retrieved, and lets it rest easy on her kissed fingers, high against reflected firelight, low toward the sun. How thin it seems, as winter nights is celebrated, loosely woven, insubstantial thing, as the overstock is led to slaughter blood upon the month, that was so full it hid all but the faintest gleam of beauty on her wedding day. Can she see now her weaver's hands have taken keys, have pounded life into the bread, into the mead, have brought the horn around the hall and teased the thread from the silent cloud of flax through to another side that is not full of father, husband, child, of mother's reed, thinning like the skin upon her shoulder, feels the veil pressing back, feels the breath skimming lightly over. As with all the tides of power, this is a time when the veil is said to be thin. Contact with those who went before may be that much easier. The time to remember those who have gone and perhaps feel them close. The first poem, Mother Bear, spoke of the mother's fatigue, and this has a similar echo of a moment of great weariness, a moment of collapse such as this might feel to be at times, when everything just seems a bit too much. Called When. When such a great woman falls, and the goddess closes the door to keep the gods from quaking, preserving her dignity from the inevitable vindictive. When such a great woman falls, clutching at the golden furniture, alone as only she can be, there are cries into the cupped palm, held like a thunderstroke. With so long away from the river, with the shield and armour forsworn, the blade left unused upon the wall, only the strength of her thigh to allow the weight she has carried. Where the wounded god could bow and walk away without further scathe, she bearing further blows, like an earth never given leave to roll away, but made to stay to hold it all. Even then, there is existence she is carrying, asking only for herself to witness, and being is a silent rage to brook no denial, falling only to rise. I think more people know than they let on, really, how that moment of collapse and falling apart can actually reveal what is perennial, what is always there, what exists even when we think the last of us is gone. This is a poem about a mother, out of Welsh legend, out of the Mabinogion. Rhiannon, her son was snatched away in a most bizarre and magical fashion, so outlandish that the women who had been minding him, rather than try to tell the tale, created another tale in which they accused Rhiannon, her mother, of having eaten the child. And there was no way that she could prove either. It was only when her son returned, living proof of her innocence, that she was redeemed. Before then, her punishment was to carry all visitors to the castle across the courtyard, telling them a tale of how, as people knew it to be. Otherwise she stayed silent and made no denial. This is the tale of her redemption, how it was proved that she was innocent and escaped the calumny of all the false and fearful tales said against her. Rhiannon stoops to set me on her back and bear me on the road. Her pace is slack, her clothes are ragged and black, she is silent. Accusations have been made. Her child's lack, his absence from the crib, is not explained, she said no word. Nor why her mouth was stained with blood. All colour else strained from her face to hear the condemnation unrestrained, as those set to mind the babe spoke with dread of fearsome cries in darkness, the fire dead, of bones scattered near the bed, Rhiannon waking wild-eyed. The nurse-women fled, calling to Paul and Noon, "See what your wife, your otherworldly queen, has done. The life of your baby boy with knife she's torn out and eaten in her mood and mother strife." Silent she, who'd rode serenely with command, Pool dashing loud after to make her stand, no power in his whipping hand, only asking, "Lady, please, will you stay, queen of my land?" And the boy, a request for a king's heir from the folk, "Give us child, or within a year we'll turf her out by her hair." A half-blood, the demand answered, accepted with fear. This the one who'd bear me now, silent horse, and all who come to Narbith gates, the forced upon repentance, remorse and cold shame, keeping her from death and the king's divorce. Woman from another world, knowing words thrown against a torrent are never heard, twist the clear into absurd, keeps her counsel, holds communion only with her birds. The truth, of course, is stranger than the tale, and must be heard with the heart. The soft veil may flutter in the fraught gale, but keep silence, hush. Truth is sturdy, 'tis belief is frail. I would have this known, set against the stain. Upon your back I'll shelter you from rain, heal and remedy your pain. You've borne me once before, mother. Come, bear me again. And so the son is carried back into the castle, and everyone can see the resemblance to his mother and his father. The tale is shown to be false. And Rhiannon names him Pryderi, which translates, I think, as anxiety. I want to do maybe 2, maybe 3 more, if you want to stick around. This next I particularly wanted to do, and I want to do in its entirety. That is a fairly long one. It took quite a long while to write. It's called Mother's Song, and is written in heroic verse, the alliterative verse that Beowulf is written in. So there's a lot of alliteration, head rhyme. It's very bold, it's very assertive in its form, and I hope you hear it and enjoy it. But it is to celebrate motherhood. And it's heroic verse celebrating giving birth. And it's fairly wide-ranging, covers a fair few subjects. And it goes like this. A thread stretches, strong and unbroken, through the web of weird. A winding length, drawn by the sisters through darkness of night, spun from its spool, spilling a rune from the wombs of women washed in blood, linking our lives to long dead kin. From mother to mother, through Mani's faring, through Amma and Edda, Embla's kin, through layers and lives, the line still carried from daughter to daughter. Dear are the Edises held in our being, as they held in their bellies the children of their children and their children beside. Mothers of ancient days, mighty in wisdom, cunning in counsel, come to your son. As ever the bairn, unwise to his heritage, bursts from your body, broadens his long house to greet the mother. He grows into knowledge of his folk and fathers, their fame and riches. So might Math make greeting to you, with woad and worthship your worth to sing. Too long dishonoured the daughters of Embla in Christendom's fires, feared by their priests. We of the kindred kindle our torches, wives of wisdom, women of power, friends of the goddess, to greet your return. You have been shield maidens, unshy of battle, alongside your loved ones locked in the spear play, blade smacking breast bare and unfettered in the face of the fiend, ferocious women, sending your fetches, saith-born furies, with flame-shooting fingers, fending your men from weird-driven wounds, wives of heroes no less in mood than the menfolk you shielded. You have been wives wed to end slaughter, peace weavers, sent to the place of your foemen, to hold out the horn to hewers of kin, bringers of frith where feud has been master and death has been queen. Dauntless to face in the husband's house hurt and mistrust from woe-meaning women and wound-nursing men. Wardens of worth, you work the life store, soul-woven knots by the Nornir bestowed into sons' sinews, into souls of your daughters. You harden the hamming-yar, honing the mood, chiding the children when challenged by strife to face their fear and find the prize, the healing and help to be had from need. You have travelled, treading new lands as far-reaching wanderers, Freydis in Vinland. She braved the Skraelings, her brother to shelter, her baby to ward. You have built towns and girded good bridges. Gunvor, Thridric's daughter, marked it with runes in memory of Astrid. And Waterloo women in war-shattered London crossed the Thames with a concrete arch. In factory and field full is your toil to help in the harvest. At home you are fee-makers, spinning and weaving the wool into gold, dresses and shirts for your daughters and sons. Good is your craft. Grain is your metal needed to bread or brewed into ale. Wealth you weave through winter's nights. Words you have worked, woad-bearers of craft, skilled scald coners, scathing the meters of woad-mighty Steinen. The White Christ's strength was shown to be short when the ship of his servant was shattered on shingle, shaken by thunder. Thor made Thangbrand thoroughly wet. You were the sisters, suffragette warriors, under Tyr's banner battling for right, who showed off their shackles, no shame in the chains that held them to railings, ready to die by the horse's hoof, to be heard at the thing. Hear you the song of this son of mothers, ash from the elm. Alvig the wise to Halfdan the old gave 18 sons, 9 in one night, nurtured them all. She had the might of a mother in need. Idis is bright. In the birthing time, come to your kinder with kindly heart. Bring her the might of mothers in need. A woman awaits, wife and mother, with horn of milk and honeyed bread, Givu engraved, to gain your friendship. Bring for this bairn birth runes ruddy, loosen all knots, and lend to your daughter the might beyond measure of mothers in need. Here settle Edises, settle here and there, some to help the fettered, some to harry the foe. Fall upon the fear bands, fetters of might, unbind the birthing, bring forth the child. Blessed and bright are the bearers of children, the givers of life. Great in the belly, the callow one turns, kicks into ribs, pounds on the gut like a pup of the thunderer, a weight to his mother, a worm under earth. The ninth moon waning, womb in her hands, she groans and grimaces, grabs at the birth runes burning in her belly, braces the womb web, thews of thread, to thrust the kinder, a brand to the flame. Her brow is hot, wet the linen, the lake of the belly has burst its bank. With bands of might gripping tightly, she goads the young one, Earthwife's cargo, out of the darkness from womb to the world. Wailing and bloody, the babe is brought to breast and milk, the cord is cut. Cradling her womb song, defiant she dares any deny her prize. Hoar-headed Huldah, hostess of the unborn, has kept well the kinder. Her cavern is daunting and glacier-guarded, gaunt is her welcome. Hard are the mile paths, murky and fog-bound, the fulgier must fetch the frolicsome babe to lich and to life. And loose is the oar-log till ninth night past and name bestowed. She has kept the stillborn, the stunted and wordless. Born into better times, these bairns now will thrive. More blood is spilt, more blood is shed in the birthing hall than is spilt in spear play. Spared from the tumult, the mothers of men are marked for wounds bloody and grim, from grave threatening strife. None can foresee the foe that awaits the woman in labour, life-bearing danger. As weird is woven a wight to bring forth or a deece to destroy. Deadly the peril that waxed unseen to seize on Hnossa, treasure of the Vanadis. Tight was her womb, her waters broke. The babe she held ready to fly free from her body. Bold life-bearer, her blood was shed. Born by the blade, brought forth was the child, his mother sang. Marked with a verse the bloody fray, bludgeoned the face of the slavering fiend that fettered her womb, threatening the birth of her boy-child. His pelting cry and pasty grimace, siege-bearing song, was a sign of triumph. I was her fro, mother, father to the boy, stood at her side, saw her mood. I hold her in honour, hold her in love, witnessed the worth of my wife most dear, proud-hearted woman, priceless jewel. That last section, it might be clear, is in remembrance of my ex-wife's labour, bringing our son into the world, a caesarean birth, born by the blade. And she sang at the doctor as he did it. That was 24 years ago today, in the afternoon before Mother's Night. So we're celebrating his birthday today. Her name was Julie, which I often shorten to Jewel, and Nossa is her by-name, which translates as Jewel, daughter of Freya. So, thank you, Julie, for our son. I told you that was a long one. One or two to offer you to finish. There's a goddess named Frigga, and she is the one often looked to by mothers, by those in labour. Her son was Balder, who in the stories is said to be flawless. He could not criticise. Must have been perfect. But he was killed. And so Frigga also is a goddess for those who grieve. And this poem is actually a song. It's turned into a song. I found some music for it. And so I offer it to you now. Her lover is Odin, the god of wisdom. She has 12 handmaids who are all healers. And so it's a song of empathy and, even so, hope. Frigga watches from her weaving the works and weird of everyone. Hears each heart the hurt that is hidden. Silent she sheds a tear for her son. Frigga shares a drink with her darling, Odin's eye transfixed by her smile. Words of wisdom are shared at their council. Words of love are shared through the night. Gifjongnar and Snotra and Loven, Var and Vor and Fuller and Air, Hlyn and Sin, Saga Sioven, 12 to serve as handmaidens fair. Frigga shares a gift with all mothers, the strength to bear the baby inside. Earthwives 12 will help with the birthing, till first breath is won and first cry is cried. Frigga, watch us from your weaving, working wheel for everyone. Hear each heart the hope that is hidden. Silent we shed a tear for your son. It's said in the stories, as in I guess most of the best stories, that there's a promise of return for her dead son, emerging from the halls of the dead at some point. But she and her handmaids, I think we can look to help us through this time of fear and disease and dying. But to finish, one more that speaks of a moment of fatigue, of weariness. And this one is for the goddess Freya, to whom I give thanks for most of my poems. And she is said to fly the world using her falcon cloak, a cloak made of falcon's feathers. And it's said also that when she weeps, if she cries over the land, the tears turn to gold. If she cries over the sea, the tears turn to amber. But of course, every now and then, she needs to remove the cloak and rest. The title is Icelandic, I believe. Falka Fjaðrir, falcon feathers. When the bird settles, whipped as it was by crosswinds and vectors, tired wings, letting the cloak fall away, it is as if she has alighted on her own heart. Falcon Freya weeps tears from her fierceness, amber and gold knows their necessity. Lifts once more to fly, strength of mind revived, knows the world will take her weight, as will the sky.